Welcome to an exploration of ecological niches and geographic distributions, a field where biology, geography, and data science converge. For decades, historical and ecological biogeography developed separately, each with its own language and focus. But recent years have seen these disciplines begin to merge, offering new insights into how species are distributed across our planet. This integration is not just academic, it's transforming our understanding of biodiversity and the factors that shape it. In this video, we'll journey through the foundational concepts, practical tools, and real-world applications that define this exciting area of research. Historically, ecological biogeography focused on the present-day composition and function of ecological communities, often at regional scales. In contrast, historical biogeography looked back over evolutionary time, reconstructing the history of continents and their biotas. These different perspectives led to distinct terminologies in research communities. However, as researchers began to recognize the importance of both spatial and temporal factors, a more synthetic approach emerged. This new synthesis allows us to understand species distributions as products of both present-day environments and historical processes. One of the most significant advances in recent years has been the explosion of available data. Museums and herbaria worldwide have digitized billions of specimens, making occurrence data, records of where species have been found, widely accessible. At the same time, environmental data on climate, topography, and land cover have become available at unprecedented resolutions. Together, these datasets provide the raw material for powerful new analyses, allowing researchers to model species, ecological niches, and predict their geographic distributions with increasing accuracy. With abundant data and advanced computational tools, scientists can now estimate both the ecological niches of species and their potential geographic ranges. This is done through species distribution modeling (SDM) and ecological niche modeling (ENM). These approaches use statistical and computational methods to relate species occurrence records to environmental variables, generating predictions about where species could exist now in the past or in the future. The result is a dynamic, data-driven view of biodiversity that can inform conservation, research, and policy. Despite technological advances, rigorous conceptual frameworks are essential for meaningful analysis. The field has moved beyond rapid software development to focus on clarifying key concepts and terminology. This book and our video aim to provide a common language for discussing ecological niches and geographic distributions. By establishing clear definitions and frameworks, researchers can avoid misunderstandings and build on each other's work more effectively. The term niche has been used in many ways, leading to confusion. Some have even suggested abandoning the term, but precise definitions are crucial in science. In this context, a niche refers to the set of environmental conditions that allow species to exist in a given region. Different niche concepts are suited to different biological problems, so it's important to clarify which definition is being used. Here we focus on niches as they relate to species' geographic distribution. Key question in niche theory is, what does it mean for a species to exist in a place? From a population ecology perspective, existence means that the population's growth rate is, on average, non-negative over time. This growth rate depends on intrinsic factors, density-dependent interactions, and the arrival of dispersing individuals. Different combinations of these factors can allow a species to persist in a region or cause it to disappear. Understanding these dynamics is essential for defining and modeling ecological niches. Spaces are defined by environmental variables, but not all variables are equal. Some, like climate and topography, are not directly affected by the species and are called xenopoietic variables. Others, such as resources consumed by the species, are dynamically linked and can change as populations grow or decline. For practical reasons, most niche modeling focuses on xenopoietic variables, which are easier to measure and available at broad scale. This distinction is crucial for constructing meaningful niche models. Xenopoietic variables, such as temperature and rainfall, set the stage for where species can exist but are not consumed or altered by the species. In contrast, dynamically linked variables, like food resources, can be depleted or modified by the species' presence. This distinction shapes how we model niches. Xenopoietic variables allow for simpler, more generalizable models, while linked variables require detailed, often local, data and complex mathematical representation. Multidimensional space defined by xenopoietic variables is called E-space. Each point in this space represents a unique combination of environmental conditions. A species' niche is a subset of this space, those combinations where it can survive and reproduce. By mapping E-space, researchers can visualize the potential range of conditions available in a region and identify which combinations are actually occupied by species. This framework, we focus on niches as sets of requirements, what a species needs from its environment to persist. This approach is especially useful at broad geographic scales, where detailed data on species impacts are often unavailable. By modeling niches as requirements, we can use widely available environmental data to predict where species could potentially exist, even in areas where they are not currently found. The requirements are central at large scales. Impacts, how a species modifies its environment, become crucial at local scales. For example, a plant species may alter soil chemistry or compete for light, affecting the local community. These interactions are complex and often require detailed site-specific data to model accurately. For most large-scale niche modeling, however, these impacts are treated as secondary or are averaged out. Niches can be defined at multiple spatial scales. At the local level, interactions and resource consumption dominate. At broader scales, environmental variables like climate and topography become more important. Some researchers have proposed a hierarchy of niches: alpha local interactions, beta habitat, and gamma geographic range. This multi-scale perspective helps clarify which variables and processes are most relevant for different types of ecological question. Two major niche concepts are often discussed: Grinnellian and Eltonian. Grinnellian niches focus on environmental requirements and are explicitly geographic, making them ideal for modeling species distributions at large scales. Eltonian niches, on the other hand, emphasize a species' role and impacts within a community, often at local scales. Both perspectives are valuable, but for broad-scale distribution modeling, the Grinnellian approach is most commonly used. Classic debate in ecology is whether empty niches exist, environmental spaces suitable for life but unoccupied by any species. In the Grinnellian sense, it's possible to identify areas of e-space that are not currently occupied, even though they could support life. In contrast, Eltonian niches defined by specific interactions are harder to conceptualize as empty, without reference to particular species and communities. Hutchinson introduced the concepts of fundamental and realized niches. The fundamental niche includes all environmental conditions where a species could survive and reproduce, while the realized niche is the subset where it actually persists, considering competition and other interactions. This distinction is crucial for understanding why species don't always occupy all suitable habitats, and helps explain patterns of distribution and diversity. Useful tool for visualizing the relationship between niches and distributions is the BAM diagram. BAM stands for biotic, abiotic, and movement. The diagram illustrates how a species' actual distribution is determined by the intersection of suitable abiotic conditions, biotic interactions, and the species' ability to reach new areas. This framework helps clarify why some suitable areas remain unoccupied, and highlights the importance of dispersal and interaction. Species occurrence data come from a variety of sources, including museum specimens, field observations, and citizen science projects. These data are increasingly digitized and georeferenced, making them accessible for large-scale analyses. However, not all occurrence data are created equal. Differences in sampling effort, accuracy, and taxonomic resolution can affect the quality of niche models. Careful data selection and cleaning are essential steps in the modeling process. Environmental data used in niche modeling include climate variables, topography, soil types, and more. These datasets are often produced by government agencies, research institutions, and international organizations. Advances in remote sensing and data processing have made high-resolution environmental data widely available, enabling more precise and comprehensive niche models. A variety of algorithms are used to model ecological niches and species distributions. These range from simple statistical methods to complex machine learning approaches. The choice of algorithm depends on the data available, the research question, and the desired balance between interpretability and predictive power. Model calibration, complexity, and overfitting are important considerations in building robust models. Calibrating niche models involves selecting the right variables, tuning model parameters, and validating predictions against independent data. Too much complexity can lead to overfitting, where the model captures noise rather than true patterns. On the other hand, overly simple models may miss important relationships. Striking the right balance is key to building models that are both accurate and generalizable. Choice of study region and spatial resolution can greatly affect niche modeling results. Models built at coarse resolutions may overlook fine-scale habitat features, while those at very fine scales may be limited by data availability. Researchers must carefully consider the ecological and practical implications of their choices, balancing detail with coverage and data quality. One of the strengths of niche modeling is the ability to extrapolate predictions to new regions or time periods. For example, models can be used to forecast how species distributions might shift under future climate scenarios. However, extrapolation carries risks, as relationships observed in one context may not hold elsewhere. Careful validation and awareness of model limitations are essential. Niche models can identify not only where species are currently found, but also areas where they could potentially exist. These potential distributional areas are important for conservation planning, invasive species management, and understanding the limits of species ranges. However, not all suitable areas are occupied, due to barriers to dispersal, competition, or historical factors. In many cases, species distributions are not in equilibrium with current environmental conditions. This can result from recent environmental changes, ongoing dispersal, or historical events. Detecting and accounting for non-equilibrium distributions is a challenge in niche modeling, but it's essential for accurate predictions and understanding species responses to change. Assessing the performance of niche models involves comparing predictions to independent data, measuring accuracy, and quantifying uncertainty. Common metrics include sensitivity, specificity, and area under the curve, AUC. Proper evaluation helps ensure that models are reliable and useful for scientific and practical applications. It's important to distinguish between models that perform well by chance and those that capture real ecological patterns. Statistical tests and careful selection of evaluation datasets help guard against overfitting and ensure that models are meaningful. This rigor is especially important when models are used to inform policy or management decisions. Niche modeling has become a powerful tool for discovering new populations and even new species. By identifying areas with suitable environmental conditions that have not been surveyed, researchers can target fieldwork more effectively. This approach has led to the discovery of previously unknown populations and has helped refine our understanding of species limits. Conservationists use niche models to identify priority areas for protection, assess the impacts of habitat loss, and plan for climate change. By predicting where species are most likely to persist, these models inform decisions about reserve design, restoration, and management. They also help anticipate the effects of environmental change on biodiversity. Climate change is reshaping the distribution of species worldwide. Niche models are used to forecast how ranges may shift as temperatures rise and precipitation patterns change. These predictions help guide conservation efforts and highlight species and ecosystems at greatest risk from climate change. Invasive species pose major threats to biodiversity and ecosystems. Niche models can predict where invasive species are likely to establish, helping managers prioritize monitoring and control efforts. By understanding the environmental conditions that favor invasions, we can better anticipate and mitigate their impacts. Spread of infectious diseases is influenced by the distributions of hosts, vectors, and pathogens. Niche models are increasingly used to map the potential ranges of disease agents, informing public health responses and surveillance. This approach is especially valuable for emerging diseases and changing environments. Ecological niches are not static, they evolve as species adapt to changing environments. Niche modeling can reveal patterns of niche conservatism, where species retain ancestral ecological traits and help test hypotheses about evolutionary processes. By linking ecological and evolutionary perspectives, researchers gain deeper insights into the origins and maintenance of biodiversity. Niche conservatism refers to the tendency of species to retain ancestral ecological characteristics over time. This concept helps explain why some lineages are restricted to particular environments and why range shifts in response to climate change may be limited. Testing for niche conservatism involves comparing the niches of related species and examining their evolutionary history. Studying how niches evolve provides valuable information about the adaptability of species and the resilience of ecosystems. By analyzing patterns of niche change, researchers can identify factors that promote or constrain adaptation, informing conservation strategies in a rapidly changing world. The field of ecological niche modeling is rapidly evolving. Future research will likely focus on integrating more detailed data, improving model accuracy, and expanding applications to new areas such as ecosystem services and human impacts. Collaboration across disciplines and continued technological innovation will drive new discoveries and applications. To support clear communication, the field relies on a standardized glossary of terms and symbols. This helps researchers from different backgrounds collaborate effectively and ensures that findings are interpretable and reproducible. As the field grows, maintaining a shared language will remain essential. Set theory provides a mathematical foundation for defining and analyzing niche spaces. By representing environmental variables and species occurrences as sets, researchers can formalize relationships and develop more rigorous models. This mathematical approach enhances the precision and clarity of ecological analyses. Progress in ecological niche modeling has been made possible by collaboration among biologists, geographers, statisticians, and data scientists. Institutional support and funding from diverse sources have enabled large-scale data collection, analysis, and synthesis. Continued collaboration will be key to addressing the complex challenges of biodiversity science. Behind every advance in this field are the efforts of countless researchers, institutions, and supporters. From digitizing museum collections to developing new modeling techniques, their work has laid the foundation for today's breakthroughs. Recognizing these contributions is essential for fostering a vibrant and inclusive scientific community. Despite remarkable progress, challenges remain. Data gaps, methodological uncertainties, and the complexity of ecological systems can limit the accuracy and applicability of niche models. Addressing these challenges requires ongoing research, critical evaluation, and openness to new ideas and approaches. Ecological niche modeling is not just an academic exercise, it has real-world impacts. From guiding conservation efforts to informing public health and managing invasive species, these models are tools for solving pressing environmental problems. As the field matures, its influence on policy and practice will only grow. One of the most important outcomes of recent work in this field is the development of a common language and conceptual framework. By clarifying terms and standardizing methods, researchers can build on each other's work and accelerate progress. This shared foundation is essential for tackling the complex, interdisciplinary questions at the heart of biodiversity science. As we look to the future, the integration of ecological, geographic, and evolutionary perspectives promises to unlock new insights into the patterns and processes that shape life on Earth. Continued innovation, collaboration, and commitment to rigorous science will ensure that ecological niche modeling remains at the forefront of biodiversity research. Summary: ecological niches and geographic distributions are central to understanding biodiversity. Advances in data, technology, and theory have transformed our ability to model and predict where species live and why. By building on a solid conceptual foundation and embracing interdisciplinary collaboration, we can continue to make progress in conserving and understanding the natural world.